Well, the issue of gender in the economy is extremely important today, and it has been important for a very long time, and it's important in many countries. And when I first began to think about the issues as an economic historian, I realized that although economists were working on the issues having to do with their time at that moment, that no one had, or very few people had explored the evolution of the female labor force and of gender gaps as existed in many different areas historically. And that's why I began my exploration. Gender gaps have existed in many different areas in the economy as well as in society. As an economist, I would begin with the labor force and employment, occupations, jobs, industries, and education. When we think about the gender gap today, we are generally thinking about pay, even though all these other gender gaps have been extremely important, and many of them have been reduced over time. When we think about the gender gap in pay, we're generally thinking about how much women earn versus men, but we might also want to adjust for hours. The gender gap in pay can be very small if men and women are paid the same in terms of the number of hours that they work. So if women, for example, are more on call at home and men are more on call in the office, and women put in fewer hours, or they put in the same hours, but not hours that men might put in, let's say, on weekends or on evenings, then yes, then some of the difference might be the difference that they pay so that they have family and they spend more time with family. But that is not necessarily equitable at all. So in fact, the answer to the question is the gender gap in terms of pay, gender inequality, is the flip side of couple inequity. Since part of the gender gap, not all of it, but part of the gender gap is due to the fact that women are disproportionately on call at home. And I know from recent work that I've read about Spain that women work at home more than twice the number of hours that men work because women are disproportionately affected by that anything that changes the amount of time that they spend, let's say, with children would be to their advantage. So policies, for example, that concern school, whether 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds go to public school, whether children have after-school hours that are provided for by the school, even if they're paid for a bit by the parents. Those are items, those are policies that would even the salaries and the pay between men and women. But most of all, in terms of policies, the best policies that will eliminate or at least reduce the gender gap are those that start at home with men doing more in the household.